I know it's been a really long time since I've done a video. I actually recorded this yesterday and forgot to turn the microphone on, so that was awesome on my part. What I'm going to talk about today is CBD oil, and to kind of give you the backstory of why I've been missing, at least from YouTube, for a year. 2017 was ridiculous, to put it lightly. We sold our house, we moved 4 hours away. My youngest son, there goes the dog. My youngest son graduated from high school and enlisted in the Air Force, and that was, you know, my baby is leaving me moment. We had to put my oldest dog to sleep, which ripped my guts out. We bought a house here and settled and moved like 2 days after we got back from Thailand, and the oldest child moved out, and so it was just, and then throw in like a new job on top of that. So it was a lot of things that it just were nonstop, and one thing I think I would have been okay with, but it was one thing right after another, and I got to the point where I felt like I couldn't catch my breath. I was getting depressed. I was crying all the time, and that's just kind of not. I mean, I cry over, I'll cry over, a dog movie, but I'm not gonna cry just day to day. That was just, I didn't feel myself, and I didn't know what to do. So I had heard about CBD oil, but I wasn't real familiar with it. So I did some research. And CBD actually stands for cannabidiol oil. So there was, and I was just as confused, I think, as some people are. Is it marijuana? What does it come from? Hemp. So in the US, it comes from hemp, the hemp plant. The hemp plant is related to the marijuana plant. They're not the same. So there's where the difference lies. And the marijuana plant, I think everybody knows, will get you high because it has THC in it, anywhere from 5 to 30%, whereas the CBD oil will not get you high because in the US, by law, it has to have 0.3% or less, so literally 1/3 of 1% concentration of THC in the oil, or it's technically illegal. I do think there are a lot of great benefits for medical marijuana, or marijuana in general, and I, if that would have been the answer, great, but I do have to pass a drug test, and they test for THC in most standard like workplace drug tests. So that was my issue, and have a job or be happy. Why can't we have both? So I ordered some CBD oil. I kind of was like, I didn't want to take a prescription. I didn't want to, go down that road at all. So I kind of took a stab in the dark and was like, I don't know what else to do, so let me try this. And that's pretty much how I go about everything. So anyway, I had ordered this online. It's called Green Roads World CBD oil, but it comes from Florida, or that's where the company sends it from. And I couldn't wait because I'm impatient. So I couldn't wait for the 4 or 5 days it takes to ship here. So I made my husband drive me to the health food store one Saturday morning because I was crying uncontrollably. And I got this plus CBD oil, and it's greasy because I get it all over the place. So I was at the point where I was like, I didn't know what else to do. It can't hurt anything. Let me try it. I was a little bit skeptical. I had read on some of the websites that how fast it works. And they were saying, within 30 minutes to an hour, you feel relief from anxiety, depression, panic attacks, even like physical ailments like inflammation, joint pain, that kind of thing. And I was like, really? I didn't quite buy the 30 minutes to an hour thing, but I was like, well, even if it takes a day to work, it's better than what I'm doing now. So you take it sublingually. there are actually glands under your tongue that if you take something sublingual, it kind of hits your system a little bit faster. So if you can see, it's kind of like yellowish, and it's in an oil. It doesn't taste very good, but for three to 4 drops per serving, you can suck it up. I took it twice a day, and I can tell you that within 30 minutes to an hour, I was feeling normal again. And at first I was like, well, maybe that's a placebo effect. I don't really think it's working. I didn't want to believe it was working. So I kept taking it twice a day. The serving is like 3 drops twice a day. And after a week, I felt completely back to level again, and not to where I was artificially happy or like being, fake happy. I was just feeling myself again, and with the kids leaving and the Air Force and the moving and all of that, I felt like, okay, it'll all work out. It's one thing at a time, and it'll all work out. And as far as side effects, there literally were none, other than it helped increase my appetite. And I don't know if that is really a side effect, or that's just my personal side effect, because when I get depressed, I stop eating, and then I start losing weight, and then it's a whole thing. So I don't know if that was just because I was getting happy again, and I was hungry and wanted to eat, or whatever. So I don't want to say that it's going to give you like the munchies, because not necessarily will. But it did work for me, and I wanted to give information to people that maybe were a little bit confused or afraid to try it. I also was taking it when I got a new job and completely forgot that I was going to have a drug test, and I was like, oh shit, like, is this going to show up on a drug test? It absolutely did not. And I had taken it, I want to say 2 days before, and it stays in your system anywhere from 3 to 7 days. So it was in my system, but it's such a trace amount of THC that it will not even show up. I probably could have taken it 2 hours before the test and still wouldn't have popped up. I probably could have drank this whole bottle and still not popped up positive on a drug test. So there's one good thing. Yay, if you work in a field where you're going to be drug tested. What you want to look for, as far as what kind of brand, these are just 2 brands. I'm not saying that these are the only ones you should get. There's another brand called Charlotte's Web. There are, if you Google it, you will find tons and tons of CBD oil companies where you can buy it. What you want to look for, is that they have a legitimate website. Go through the frequently asked questions. Do they guarantee their product, obviously? And one of the most important things that you want to look for is that they do independent scientific testing, which means they're testing that the CBD oil is pure, and that there is less than 0.3% THC in the CBD oil. So, and they will print that. If you want to read the scientific report, knock yourself out. I just kind of skimmed over it. Yeah, okay, it looks legit. Ordered it and went for it. There are different dosages, and it was a little bit confusing just because I'm used to, like in medicine, you have 100 milligrams of whatever. This says 250 milligrams, and I think this is the same. 250 milligrams. What that means is that entire bottle is equal to 250 milligrams of CBD oil. So each dose is not 250 milligrams. It's about, so depending on the specific dosage for that brand, so like maybe this much here, if you can see, it's like about a half a dropper, would be about 15 milligrams of CBD oil. So the whole bottle is what the milligrams that they're talking about. A lot of the companies, they'll start at 100 milligrams. So you can buy 100 milligrams of oil all the way up. they have different increments like 250, 500, 750, 1,000, 1,500, and I think 2,000 is usually where they top out. These bottles were about $40 a piece. The 2,000 milligram bottles were, I think, $200, give or take. So it was recommended to me that you want to start lower than higher. You don't want to go like full on in the 2,000 milligrams, A, because you might not need it, and B, you kind of have to establish a baseline first. So feeling how I felt, I thought that 100 milligrams might not be enough for me, and I was pretty desperate. So I was like, well, let me start at 250. That's not going overboard, and it'll give me enough to where I could feel that if it's not working to where I want it to, I can always go up. 250 was plenty for me. I was taking it twice a day, every day, for I want to say about a month, 6 weeks, and then I backed off to like once a day, and now to the point where I take it once or twice a week, or if I even remember at all, which is a good thing because I'm not dependent on it, and it's not, you know, I'm functioning, I'm happy. Of course, I have times where I'm sad. But that's life, and that's going to happen. So, but this was to get me back up to level again. And again, I feel like I can't rave about this stuff enough. And I feel like, why didn't I know about this sooner? But I know about it now, and that's all that matters. So if you are struggling at all with anywhere from mild depression, like right now, Pittsburgh is like depressing Antarctica, no sun, snow every day. Or if it's something even more drastic, like, you know, a breakup, you know, a family member dies. Of course, there's going to be times in your life when you're naturally sad, and that's to be expected. But when it lingers on and you stop functioning and you don't know what to do about it other than prescription drugs, which, you know, sometimes, in my opinion, are throwing gas on a fire. So I highly recommend this. You know, I get nothing out of this other than giving this information to you. So I hope that was somewhat informative. I am not an expert on it by any means, but I did want to share my experience, and if you have any questions, post them in the comments, or any suggestions. I think I'm probably going to do a thyroid video next. It's probably going to be 3 videos just because it's a lot of information. So hopefully I will be able to, as my schedule permits, to keep doing videos. If you have anything specific you'd like me to talk about, fire away. But until then, I will see you next time.